What's up guys, Expel here, and today I wanted to share with you a little bit of information, and I want to go in depth with the mesh mines in Blackout. The reason why is I know that a lot of people have issues figuring out whether or not whenever you shoot a mesh mine in a vehicle, whether or not it's going to be like a 1-hit kill, a 2-hit kill, a 3-hit kill, whatever it may be, or explosion. Let's go by explosions because kills are kind of very different when it comes to like mesh mining vehicles. So I've got a lot of information. I have all of the information for every single vehicle that we have in Blackout currently, excluding the boat that is only available in Hot Pursuit. So all in all, we have the ATV, the truck, the ARAV, the boat, the regular boat, excuse me, the helicopter, the SUV, and the Mustang. But there are going to be some keynotes that I go over first, and the reason why is because there's a couple things that are kind of universal that are going to be a little bit more helpful whenever you're thinking about vehicles altogether. And past that, I do want to go over one thing real quick on the note that this is less about the mesh mines that you place on the ground, like 2 separate mesh mines or 3 separate mesh mines or whatever it may be, to catch people in traps, and more about the mesh mines that you're shooting directly at vehicles. Because when it comes to the mesh mines that are already placed on the ground, 9 times out of 10, that's going to kill all the passengers of the vehicle. Or when it comes to trucks, it's going to kill just the driver and the secondary passenger of the vehicle. Now that they've added an actual secondary passenger, it's only going to kill the people in the front. So those are kind of self-explanatory, and you're not going to really have to deal with that too much because it's not like a very, tight situation that you get into with those mesh mines. They're usually like mesh mines that you place down, don't think about for a while. So we're going to go and jump into like the mesh mines that you shoot directly at a vehicle and a little bit directly at players. So the keynotes that I have specifically have to do with the randomness of the mesh mines. So it can be entirely random as to when a mesh mine explodes when placed on a vehicle with no driver. And basically what that means is whenever you shoot a mesh mine at a vehicle, there's no one in it, you could literally blow up the vehicle immediately, like literally immediately. Not really blow it up, you just like, it'll explode. Or it could blow up 30 seconds from then. It's entirely random. There's no specific set time. We tested this like 3 or 4 times, maybe even like 5 or 6 actually, because I just kind of kept shooting mesh mines at vehicles in custom games. So it's entirely random. Past that, there's a bigger explosion in all vehicles. If a mesh mine is placed on a vehicle, mostly in the driver's seat, it's going to be a much larger explosion. If a mesh mine is placed on a vehicle while an enemy is in the passenger seat and switches to the driver's seat. The reason I say that is we had multiple times where I would shoot the driver's seat while someone was in the passenger seat. They would switch over, and instead of it being a 2-hit kill on the vehicle, the whole vehicle would just explode immediately. No damage whatsoever to it. It's just a 1-hit kill for the whole vehicle, a 1-hit explosion, I mean. And the last keynote that I have is that mesh mines actually do 100 damage when you directly hit the driver of a vehicle and not the actual vehicle. This also goes for people that are just like sitting in a house or something like that. I know that's not exactly what this video is about, but if you shoot a mesh mine directly at someone, you will get 100 damage to them no matter what armor they have on, whether it be level 1, level 2, level 3, or no armor. It'll do a straight 100 damage to that player. Now, getting into our first category, which is going to be ATVs. So, ATVs are mostly going to be a 1 mesh mine explosion. The whole vehicle is going to blow up at that number of mesh mines. When I say that within the rest of this, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So, it's going to be a 1 mesh mine explosion. However, it does not blow up if no one is driving it. So, like I was saying earlier in the keynotes, if you were to shoot the vehicle, someone's sitting on the backside of the ATV and they switch to the driver's seat, then it will blow up. On a side note, the ATV is also a 2-hit explosion if the tires are hit and not the actual vehicle. So it's also going to be like that for most of the rest of the vehicles. A lot of the vehicles will have an additional mesh mine required to kill the vehicle. Disregarding the truck, actually the truck's going to stay at what it's at. But the rest of them will mostly have an additional hit with the mesh mine before it explodes if you're hitting just the tire and not the actual vehicle. Past that, The truck is going to be a 3 mesh mine explosion. And then on top of that, it's actually a 2 mesh mine explosion if you somehow hit the undercarriage of the vehicle, or really just like the very, very bottom part of the vehicle. It doesn't have to be under it, but if you hit like the bottom side of it or something like that, it's going to be a 2 mesh explosion. However, if the truck bed is hit, it'll do no damage whatsoever to the actual truck, only the players in the bed of the truck. And it's actually kind of random as to whether or not the driver is damaged by mesh mines when it hits the front of the truck. But what I do know is if the window is hit, it'll kill the driver. However, if you hit the engine area, the driver won't really die, but sometimes they do. There's going to be a higher chance of you killing the person in the front of the truck if you hit higher on the truck. Like, say, you shoot the engine, it might not kill the person in the front. You shoot a little higher towards the window, you're going to kill the person, like the windshield of the vehicle, actually. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to the ARAV. So the ARAV is a very simple vehicle. It's actually one that really made me angry because for the longest time, I thought it was a 1 mesh kill. However, it's a little weird. So the ARAV is going to be a 2 mesh mine explosion. However, if you hit it 1 time on the inside of the vehicle, the whole thing will explode as long as someone is driving it. Now, I do want to give a little disclaimer here. The ARAV is a little weird. So whenever you hit the vehicle, you could just not damage anybody at all, even if it blows up on them. It's very odd. This is what happened to me earlier today. I don't have any footage on it, but I had it happen probably 2 or 3 times, like within the span of a week, and that's what actually sparked me to like do this. So if you hit the vehicle, a lot of the times you're not going to damage the passengers or the driver in the vehicle until you blow it up with the second mesh mine. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt, but I would be trying to hit the inside of the vehicle to the best of my ability if you have the opportunity to do so. The next thing I'm going to go over is the boat, and the boat is actually very weird when it comes to mesh mines. It's going to be a 2 mesh mine explosion, which makes the clip that I got in a video the other day actually 10 times better. But it's a 2 mesh mine explosion. However, they're a little tricky, and they actually require you to hit the outside of the boat. If you hit the little like poofed up areas on the boat, that's the only place that you're going to be able to actually get a hit on the actual boat. The rest of the area, like the inside of the boat, it will sink through it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just like a weird hit thing with the mesh mines for the boat. But whenever you shoot the mesh mine to the center of the boat, and sometimes even on the outside, like the inside of the outside, that's a weird thing to say, of the boat, it'll go straight through into the water. It's very odd, but it's actually true. Next, we have the helicopter. And the helicopter is a 3 mesh mine explosion. Fair enough. It requires a ton of damage to be done to it, I mean. That's pretty much no matter what. It's going to be a 3 mesh mine explosion no matter where you hit it on the helicopter. It actually does around 140 damage to the driver, and this is pretty much the only one other than the truck that I took damage because a lot of them didn't do any damage. But it does around 140 damage to the driver if you hit the passenger seat of the helicopter. Now, the first time we did it, it was like 143. The second time, it was like 136. So it's right around 140 damage and doesn't really, you know, sway from that much at all. In our testing, it did no damage in the to the driver of the helicopter if you hit the back seats of the chopper. And last but not least, if you place a mesh mine on the landing gear of the helicopter before it takes off, it will not blow up until the chopper is in the air. However, it will kill the driver as soon as you take off. I don't know why. It's a very weird thing, but whenever you take off, it blows up and it kills the driver no matter what. Don't really know how much damage it does because it was like an instant kill, so I'm assuming 200 plus damage, so it doesn't really matter. It didn't make a difference whether or not they had armor or not, so armor doesn't really matter whenever you're in a vehicle with mesh mines hitting it. So I guess I wouldn't be too worried about the armor whenever I'm playing Hot Pursuit unless I'm shooting at people. Regardless, let's go ahead and move on to the vehicles that we're going to be using in Hot Pursuit, which is probably why you guys actually want to hear about this. The SUV. So the SUV is going to be a 1 mesh mine explosion on the inside of the vehicle, a 2 mesh mine explosion on the hood of the vehicle, and a 3 mesh mine explosion on the roof of the vehicle. However, unlike a lot of the other vehicles, if you shoot 1 mesh mine on the inside of the vehicle will not explode, but it will kill the driver. So, a little bit different than some of the other vehicles that we've went over, but the SUV and the Mustang are recently added vehicles, so I don't know how they built these, like, mesh mine resistance wise when it comes to like inside outside versus the other vehicles, if they were taking in consideration the other vehicles and how they had them set up, but it doesn't seem like they have. Next we have the Mustang, and our last vehicle that we're going over, a very simple vehicle actually, and it's going to be a 1 mesh mine explosion to the inside, will blow up the whole entire vehicle if you shoot the inside, and then a 2 mesh mine explosion on the hood and the front of the vehicle. So that's pretty much all the information that I have. Just to quickly go back over just some small notes. The ATV is a 1 mesh mine explosion. The truck is naturally a 3 mesh mine explosion, 2 mesh mine if the undercarriage is hit. The ARAV is a 2 mesh mine explosion, a 1 mesh mine if it lands on the inside. The boat is a 2 mesh mine explosion as long as you're hitting the right areas. The helicopter is a 3 mesh mine explosion no matter what. The SUV is a 1 mesh mine explosion on the inside of the vehicle, 2 mesh on the hood, and 3 mesh on the roof. And then the Mustang, last but not least, is a 1 mesh explosion on the inside, 2 mesh explosion on the hood and the front. So that should do it for all the information that you needed for the mesh mines versus vehicles. This is probably going to help a lot of you whenever it comes to like Hot Pursuit, or whether you're like shooting at vehicles and things like that with mesh mines. I know this has actually helped me a ton, just like reading it off and thinking about it in my head and realizing like what I'm going to have to do to each vehicle. A lot of this well, all of these are based on vehicles that have taken no damage whatsoever. So if a vehicle's hurt, it's going to act differently. So you can expect vehicles to blow up with less sometimes. But this is for vehicles that have taken no damage whatsoever. So this is the most mesh mines that it's going to take. Regardless, if this video helped you guys out at all, absolutely please drop this video a like. It took hours and hours of work to put this together, so let me know what you think. Regardless, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to drop the video a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and hit that notification bell. That way you get notified every single time I post a video. I'm going to start doing a little bit more of like tips and tricks video. I want to do things like that, because I feel like that's where I started on this channel, and I feel like I probably need to go back to the roots. But either way, thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.